I guess they call it.
That's great.
How do you
Oh,
middle? That's big.
yeah. See a couple people. Yeah. Let me know.
Mics are on, Joe?
That's fine. Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order for Tuesday, March 13th, 2018, regular board meeting. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Estheimer?
Present.
Mr. Freitas?
Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Mr. Koopser's excused. Ms. Mossop's excused. Dr. Pomponio?
Here.
And Mr. Craig?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
District's mission statement is learning for life. The vision statement is Southgate Community Schools, the best choice for students and parents. It takes us to the approval of the agenda. Do we have any revisions?
Mr. President,
Mr. Green?
I'd like to make a motion to revise the agenda to remove under presentations G1 for this evening.
Okay, I have a motion for a revised agenda. Is there support?
Support?
Okay. Motion by Mr. Green. Support by Dr. Pomponio. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda approved. Next is citizens' comments. Any citizens that want to speak? None, okay. And so we are right to presentations. And that'll move us to Mr. Tashi.
How are you this evening?
Good. How are you?
We'll, Wendy Nowak and myself will do the technology update for this evening's enjoyment. It's been a little while since, I don't remember when the last time I was here, to be honest with you. Over a year, I think.
Really? Yeah. A while
Probably,
ago.
something like that. We'll make it quick. We'll keep it quick.
They did have that Atlas handout in there.
Maybe one of the things we can do is get a new projector in here.
Talk to the technology director. At City Hall.
It's a little ironic during a technology presentation.
One of our illustrious techs patched the VGA cable into the wrong port. So. No criticism. No, was it? It was me. Oh, all right. Nice job, Luke. Way to recover, buddy. All right, technology update for this evening's board meeting. So a couple of things we'll go over today is a bond update, where we're at technology-wise with the balance and what we've done so far and what we have left over so far. Atlas, which is the online learning resurrection. We'll talk about that a little bit with Ms. Baker-Herring and Wendy, and then our 5-year plan, or at least the technology portion of a 5-year plan that I was able to give Ms. Pastor. So we have something to look at over the next few years with all the things that have been purchased over the last 2 years. That stuff does have a finite life. It's not going to continue to come back magically. So there's some budgetary items that need to be looked at over the next couple of years. So with the technology portion of the bond, there's about $266,000 left in the technology budget. The parts or the components of the budget that have been expended already were the security updates and upgrades in the buildings, a tremendous amount of Chromebook carts and devices, Chrome bases, which are Chromebooks, but they're a desktop. All new network electronics and Wi-Fi everywhere, but remember that was offset by E-rate dollars. So we probably paid about $150,000 for almost $700,000 of network electronics. The timing was really amazing for what we were able to do when the bond passed and what we were able to get done for that amount of money. 300 iMacs, which are basically teacher workstations, about 150 PCs. The 60-plus Chromebooks represents about 2,000 devices, 500 Chromebases, but new sound enhancement systems in the elementary schools, which are the devices that there's 6 speakers in every classroom in the ceiling mounted, and the teacher has a level A that they wear that allows their voice to be dispersed amongst the classroom because of the amount of ear infections and problems that young students have at that age. They have a lot of times the kids in the back room don't hear. So this it allows all of the instruction to be able to be heard throughout the classroom, and it's also connected to their teacher workstation, so we're able to use them for videos and music and whatever else they do in the buildings. All the other buildings received Anchor speakers, so they can do louder broadcast of videos and the such in their classroom, document cameras, and that's it. Remember that the technology portion of this bond was really not a bells and whistles bond. It was really we really need to get some stuff done bond. But I think we got a lot of bang for our buck. I'm personally not a huge proponent of all the gigantic cool things that look really cool on brochures, the 72-inch LCD panel interactive things. Those tend to be really cool for teachers because they're not very good with technology. In a lot of cases, young kids look at them and go, okay, so what? They'd rather look at their phone. And of course, any of you that have kids know that that's the case. They'll even watch movies on their phone before they'll watch them on a big screen. But we didn't waste money, that's for sure, on a lot of things that look really cool that really don't make a whole lot of difference, in the classroom. And then, as I spoke earlier, the security system additions, the additional cameras that went in all the buildings, the door access controls, all those things. So that's the bulk of the expenditures from the bond. This also, took a lot of hard work where we had a lot of transition in our staff internally, and we really have a great team right now in our technology department with the young people that were hired with Ronnie and Luke and Alan and Nico, and then some of the veterans with Mike Ball, our secretary Wendy is an old timer and I'm not a young timer, so there's a lot of great personnel additions that made a lot of this stuff a lot easier. So we didn't hire anything out for the most part, except for some of the things that had to be done. I mean, some of the structured wiring, those things, just because of the quantity of work that we had to do. But we were able to do most everything internally. So that's a big deal. The phone system. So if you guys haven't heard, there's been some phone problems over the last month or so. We moved away from a hosted system from a company called Encore to our own hosted system, meaning we house the phone, the communications server, we do everything internally, which saved us about $80,000 a year. We also added Asher to our phone network. They were on their own, a separate network, just because of the way phones were done a long time ago. They actually came in a year after the original phone system. So they were always different than us. They're a part of our network. We have a tremendous amount of more functionality that we have control over. We don't have to ask somebody else if they can enable something and then pay for it. There have been glitches though over the last month. Those glitches were created by me. I'll make the story really short.
Mike, do you want water?
Thanks. After a stretch of really cold weather in January, I came into the office, I heard our generator beeping, there was something wrong. Great. So we went into the head end. I instructed somebody to hit the button on the transfer panel that says, there's two of them, one says test, one says exercise. I wanted to make sure that our generator was going to exercise because it was beeping, which meant something was wrong. I didn't stipulate that. We hit the test button, which said transfer over. We ran out of battery. We have about 5 minutes of battery backup. The generator is a medical grade generator. It comes on in 8 seconds. It didn't come on in 8 seconds. The heating jacket around the generator let the generator start, but it just kind of did one of those, you know, it didn't come on with enough RPMs in order to charge our batteries, which meant our phone server browned out. This is a bad thing. When it browned out, we corrupted a bunch of files. Bottom line is we had to reinstall everything, you know, on a very quick basis over the course of a couple of nights. Actually, I think Ronnie was on the phone for 36 or 48 hours straight, practically. But that's what happened. Then the box that we used to get the server back up and running, the hard drive in it failed, which is perfect. We had a server on order, it hadn't come in yet, so we had to transfer it to another box yet again. Anyway, now the phone server resides on a proper box in a proper rack with the generator that's been repaired, that works, that will back up the batteries because that heating jacket was replaced. That's the bottom line. It's my fault. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. So that's the phone system story. Atlas. So Atlas is the online learning resurrection of the prior Atlas proposal that we had brought to the board a few years ago. I think one of the reasons, or I don't think, one of the reasons why we wanted to revisit all of our online learning offerings, and Michelle, please, you know, feel free, and Jill to chime in, because they've been much more involved with this round than I am, or have been. But we had like a lot of disparate pieces going on with, we had, you know, Asher using a different vendor or different curriculum to support their 100% online learning courses. We had some online credit recovery courses at the high school we were using a different vendor for. We have students that are able to take, you know, up to 2 line courses per semester per year that we were using yet another course for. And then we were using some other things for our blended and flipped courses. It made sense that we, as a district, not do that anymore and evaluate some of the curriculum vendors out there and try to, you know, pick the best of the breed out there and use that for all of our online courses so that we're able to be, you know, have some continuity there. So that was done over, Jill coordinated that in, I don't know, January?
November.
November, January, whatever, December. And we were able to, we came to a conclusion that we were going to use, you know, OdysseyWare as our online vendor. They brought by far the best package to the table. We are still going to use Edgenuity for some things still, but basically OdysseyWare will be our main.
I think next year we could be fully converted to OdysseyWare. Yeah.
Including Asher.
Yep.
So that's a good thing. But the bigger goal is to implement online learning offerings that will fulfill all those hollow bullet points, those 5 hollow bullet points, using Southgate teachers and Southgate curriculum, you know, for our students. You know, there's lots of reasons now why students are having a hard time with coming into buildings. Some of it may be, you know, personal issues. There's anxiety issues, all those things, and we want to be able to fulfill their needs with our teachers and our curriculum, not let them go somewhere else where, you know, people may not know them, you know, they don't know the people in those buildings or those districts, and let them be comfortable. Also, be able to recover some of the funding that follows that student when they go somewhere else for online learning courses. So that's the philosophy behind the whole Atlas thing again, and why we wanted to revisit it and be able to do things probably better. You know, we've learned a lot by watching other districts. You know, when a lot of this stuff came around, a lot of districts, you know, in our surrounding areas said, listen, come on, sign up here, we'll do online learning, sign the dotted line, good luck. You know, don't look to us, we're going to collect the money, but we're not going to have anything to do with you. That's never what we wanted to do in Southgate. We wanted to have a relationship with our students and be sure that we're involved in their online learning success, supporting them, because it's not easier. You know, a lot of people think that online learning is going to be an easy thing, and it's not. You know, it takes a lot of the things that some of these students are lacking to be a good online learning, and you know, getting to school on, you know, you're not getting to school on time, so now you have to rely on your self-discipline, you know, to get your coursework done and all those things. We want to be much more involved in that, making sure that those students are successful and being able to hound them to, you know, get their work done. So, you know, please fill in the blanks, Michelle, where I may have left some blanks.
I think the biggest issue that we have is that we were doing multiple things in different places. So having this more streamlined so that there's one avenue that students can pursue if they need one offering per semester, they want to be 100% virtual, whatever it is, whatever their needs are, to really personalize what we can offer for them, and being able to do it eventually with more of our staff and our curriculum would be the ultimate goal. But for now, Odyssey Ware, I think, is a shift for us to get us there, and then as we work and plan over the next, you know, year, 2 years, 3 years, to plan to actually use our own staff and our own curriculum to service the needs of the kids that, you know, need some portion to all of their learning to be online.
I have a question. So if we have a ninth grader coming into the high school and they're not really comfortable socially and they want to take all of their classes online, can they do that with the curriculum that we have currently?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
But our goal, but to do it now, we would be enrolling them in the Odyssey Ware curriculum. Our goal is, you know, with the committee that's been working on this project, our goal is to have those course offerings. You know, they'll decide what courses are going to be first and ramped up, but there'll be courses that we offer. So, you know, the cool part about that Teresa likes is that we won't be paying Odyssey Ware for that curriculum, Teresa McLaughlin. We'll be using our own curriculum. So, you know, hence those dollars spent on that courseware is not going to be spent, you know, in-house.
That's great, thanks. Do you have a way to monitor the usage? Let's say someone who wants to be at home and learn at home to support their discipline, you know, like if they haven't for a week, their curriculum, if they haven't done their homework, you have a teacher monitoring each student?
There's a mentor that,
by law.
And depending, for our 100% online students, there is an online real teacher somewhere for each course, but also there's a mentor that oversees their progress that they check. They have that time built in the school day where they're monitoring all of our online students. That's currently what we have in place as a mentor.
So if we have 200 students who want to come in ninth grade and say, I want to try this online, is that supported by that? Can we
Sure.
do?
It could be, but
I don't know if we're
there would
ready
be a
for that.
process that most likely 200 kids, I mean, that would be highly unlikely that they would all be true great candidates for a 100% virtual online program. I mean, technically, I guess we could, but
So would they have to go through a process of approval to say, okay, well,
So that committee will be rolling all this stuff out. You know, because it's not for everybody. And we don't want students to fail. We want kids to be successful. So in order for that to happen, you have to evaluate each student where they might fit. A student that thinks they want to be online learners that maybe don't have the greatest skills to be that online learner yet, maybe they can have an alternative online learning site, but they're not online.
right.
I'm sorry, they're online, but they're not at home necessarily.
Right.
So in order to be granted their online learning driver's license, you know, they'll have to earn that, you know, by showing success, you know, coming and doing online learning at a physical place.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of components that still need to be, you know, worked out, but all those things are being thought about in great depth.
Sounds good, thank you.
All right, so this is the big slide right here, and this is the last one. We have awesome stuff right now. You know, stuff doesn't last forever. So with the things that we have right now, the technology items we have right now, These are the dollar values in each subsequent year that it's going to take to replace the things that need to be replaced on schedule. As you can see, this summer, not a big deal, right? 2019 summer, it becomes a bigger deal. Remember, we still have $266,000 left in the technology budget, so we're going to be able to cover a lot of what's going to go on. Well, for sure, the first 2 years, some of year 2020. It starts to hurt in 2021 and 2022. Now, we have great teachers in this district that are using the technology. So we're able, with all the cool things that Google is doing for us now, and all the reporting tools, we're able to see how much this stuff gets used. It's getting used. People become dependent on it. They're going to become more dependent on it. I know that with our new curriculum director, she's going to be looking at a lot more, and the old curriculum director, be looking at a lot of electronic resources. They're going to be. It doesn't make any sense to buy paper books anymore. I mean, they fall apart, they get wet, they get lost. All this stuff's going to be electronic in the very near future. These numbers are starting to grow. Now, these numbers are today's numbers. I'm not Nostradamus. I can't, predict how much stuff is going to cost in 2022, but I also don't know what that stuff is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be a Chromebook anymore. I don't know. I don't know. But this is potentially what it could look like. We're not using super expensive devices right now, and these are still big numbers. Now, this includes network electronics. It includes firewalls. All those kinds of things. You really need to pay attention to those numbers. Because they're not going to magically appear from out of the clear blue sky, right?
Is this a breakdown on the 5-year plan? Or?
Yes. And we have a breakdown of the actual devices. It didn't make much sense to bring it here.
So the 2022 number and the 2021, that's where we start getting to the hardware replacements.
Exactly.
Primarily.
And some network electronics too, yeah.
Because at that point, they'll be 6 years old or something like that.
Yep. Network electronics it'll be.
And that's a dinosaur when they're being used as much as they're being used.
Well, network electronics aren't as bad as devices. Network electronics we can get 8 years, 10 years out of. Devices.
Yeah, they get beat up pretty bad.
And like I said, we don't know what those devices are going to be in 2022. Right. And with that said, if there's any questions, we'd be glad to answer them.
On that $266,000 that's left in the bond money, how long could we carry that over?
February
9th, 2020. We have to have everything spent.
I said February 12th, I would have been chastising for 3 days. We would have lost it all. We'd have lost all $266,000.
Any other questions? It's a way to finish a presentation by showing us $1 million. We needed,
1.2 million.
well, just the last 2 years are almost $1 million, so.
Crazy.
But 18, 19, and 20, it would only cost us $10,000 pretty much in the bond. All the bond money would cover most of that.
Right.
But that means we have to start budgeting for larger percentage of technology. A lot.
Yeah.
Another bond.
That's it?
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Tashi.
Yep.
All right. This is to H. We have no student government representatives tonight. And committee reports. Policy committee? Have they met yet?
We're coordinating with the new laws, depending on that.
Okay. And finance committee, Mr. Koopser is not here. I don't know if anybody's prepared to speak for him.
We didn't meet.
Didn't meet? Okay. And anti-bullying?
That's in the works, too.
In the works, all right. Okay. Finance report.
So the board approved the general fund amended budget back in December. So at the next meeting on March 27th, I'll be presenting the amended budgets for the special revenue funds, which is the Act 18 Center Program Special Education Fund, the Food Service Fund, and the Community Service Fund, which includes the Enrichment Program and the Latchkey Program. I'll be doing a presentation and then asking for your approval of those budgets. It just so happens that, because of reports that they're doing, both Mr. Connors and Mrs. Priest will be at that meeting as well. So you'll have the opportunity to also ask them questions. I will also, probably as a separate presentation, give you an update on the preschool program, and at this point, what we're projecting the amended budget to be, and that's still part of the general fund. But then that will come towards the end of the year, but where we're at now with that program. So you can get an update for that program.
Is that that presentation for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yep, on March 27th. At the last meeting, I gave you an update on the transportation RFPs and the number of bids that we received. Plant Moran is doing their due diligence. I know they're going back and forth with the two companies that submitted bids. We are having interviews with both companies on March 26th. When we did the RFPs for the custodial grounds and maintenance, there was one board member in attendance during those interviews. And I just want to take this opportunity to invite, if there's one or two board members that would like to attend it's Monday, March 26th, from 9:30 to 12:30. So just let me know in the within the next week so that we can plan for it. They'll be held here in council chambers that morning. So. Also, next Thursday, March 22nd, with our adult education program, the state has divided the Section 107 grant the MDE has divided the state into 10 regions, and so we're Region 10. And on March 22nd, the Region 10 Adult Learner Collaborative Advisory Committee, which is basically at the county level, is doing a review of our 2016-17 program. There'll be two individuals at the Asher Building that morning doing a review of the program, and there will be two individuals at central office doing a financial review of the program. So we have that coming up. And during past Finance Committee meetings, we've talked about putting some information on our transparency page regarding the enhancement millage spending. So I worked on that, and currently, so I did an initial presentation. So on our website now is a bar graph that looks like this, and the orange is what we spent to date for this year, and the blue is what we've budgeted for. So you'll notice that the blue, there's a lot that hasn't been spent, and that's the Davidson Middle School instruction, and that's because of the textbooks and supplies that we were planning to get will not be put into place until next year. But I will, we'll talk about it more at the Finance Committee meeting, and then I'll update it on a regular basis. So we do have that on our website, and I think Ms. Pastor is going to show you exactly where. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Curriculum report.
Okay, I just have one small update before the work items. So March is reading month, but it's also standardized testing preparation month. We're developing testing schedules, printing test tickets, and M-STEP practices taking place all over the district. Anderson is also providing some time for the PSAT and SAT Khan Academy practice for students built in during the school day. The testing window opens April 9th, and so the high school will actually start the second day after they get back from spring break with the SAT and PSAT, and then the M-STEP window closes May 25th. The long one.
You're coming down for the superintendent?
I am going to do something different.
Okay.
I know how Mr. Craig enjoys my PowerPoints, but I don't have a PowerPoint.
Oh, okay. I was going to move over, but I don't need to now.
It's not a PowerPoint. So I was a person who said I would never be on Facebook. So just keep that in mind when I show you some things tonight.
Putting things on the screen?
Is it on the screen, Joe?
It is gonna be.
So you do have to.
And I do have to move. Yes. Just because it's, just because you,
I just said it
just
wasn't
because
a
it's not a
PowerPoint.
Right,
PowerPoint
that's all
doesn't,
she said.
Yes,
doesn't mean it's the same thing.
except it's ginormous, but. So, I wanted just to draw some attention to some things that we have on our website. Oh, okay. Do you see how it's ginormous? Why is it ginormous? Okay, no big deal. So the first thing is that one of the things that we want parents, students, and teachers is if they see something to say something. And some parents are reluctant to call the school principal, and one of the things that you can do is you can click on OK to say, and this is an anonymous way to file a tip. So here, the link right from our website takes you to the menu, and oh boy.
Luke, help.
Well, I can't,
Shrink it, it might not be displaying right.
it's not displaying right. I'm sorry, I need some technical assistance.
Well, you got a whole room full of tech.
Luke's
Do you
fault.
see how it's ginormous? So now, but it's not taking me to the right link. Oh, now,
Now you can see.
it did. So here, I'm sorry. So here where it says about us, there's a place to submit a tip. And so this is, obviously if it's an emergency, they want you to do something, but there are ways, there's an app. So if, for example, you thought that there was something going on that you needed to draw our attention to, this is a great way to do this. I can tell you that there was an incident at Davidson this year that someone submitted an anonymous tip. They called an administrator. The administrator discovered that there was a student that was doing some self-harming, and we were able to contact the parent and stop that, get her some help that she needed. So this is a great resource for many things. So that's a great anonymous way. The other thing, we sometimes have parents and students that say that there's bullying going on. So it's not the name-calling thing, it's the repeated events. And if that happens, we do have a bullying incident form that downloads right to a Word document that we are encouraging you, if you believe that something is out there, that you fill out this paperwork. I'm getting a call from the police chief. Sorry. This is a great way to make sure that it's in writing, that this way it will be investigated and followed up, and the Board of Education gets this information with people's names redacted. So just to encourage people to fill that out.
So when they fill that out, where do they put it?
They can take it to the school office. They can bring it directly here. There's a box at Anderson outside the office that they can put them in. They can give it to a classroom teacher. So whatever makes them the most comfortable, they could scan it and email it to myself, to Ms. Grahowski, or anyone else. So right now, March is the time where we ask parents, staff, and students to let us know how we're doing in the district. So the parent perception survey can be, the link is right here from our website, and it takes you right to a Survey Monkey that will help us. So one of the things that, you know, is something that we hear about are sometimes parents say, well, we really have a lot of half days in Southgate, or there are too many half days. This is a great way for us to know what days are hard for parents. So there are some other questions on there. So Ms. McLaughlin was saying that the millage transparency things came up. So here is where the transparency reporting, the millage spending is under other budget documents, and here is the year-to-date millage, and it does need to be rotated. And then you can see the millage spending. It's a little hard to read on the screen, especially from, I'm sure, on YouTube, but this will give you an idea. And lastly, said I would never. If you go to the Southgate homepage and you do click on the superintendent's office, this is not a Southgate superintendent page. This is a Southgate Community School District page. So, for example, on Saturday, I had the pleasure of watching some of the cutie pies at Grogan with some of the events. So you can see I just post a few pictures and put a little synopsis or a quick comment. Thursday was Beacon's art show, so I have a few pictures. So I'm doing a few things. I'm not Leslie. I don't know everything there is to know about Facebook, and I am learning. So just wanted to show you some things that are on our website for some information. So that's my update.
I have a question.
Yes.
The parent perception survey, is there a cutoff time for that?
March 28th.
Okay, thank you.
The okay to say, how often is that monitored? Is there someone like watching it?
So my understanding is it's 24/7.
Okay.
And it's monitored by someone at the state. And I have heard that the reporting in the last few weeks is on a giant increase from after Parkland events, so.
So do we have the building principals that are sending out announcements to the parents to let them know that this is available now?
Yes, most administrators have already sent out a link, and if they haven't, they're going to do it this week. Some building administrators are planning to do it this week during elementary conferences. Last week, I know Beacon did it for their conferences. So it is being pushed out by different principals at different times.
Okay, thank you.
So,
That's great.
Any other questions for Ms. Pastor? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Back to citizens' comments. Anybody wants to speak? Still nobody, okay. Takes us to the consent agenda, which consists of the February 27, 2018 regular board meeting minutes, the HR update, and disbursements for February of 2018.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as stated.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there support?
Support.
Okay, I have support. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. And under the action items, number 1 is the Lusk Albertson policy approval.
So I would like to recommend hiring Kevin Sutton from Lusk Albertson to help us simplify our policies. The goal would be for our policy committee to complete a recommendation for board approval in August for a September 1st, 2018 effective date. I would like to schedule our first 3 meetings for this process on Tuesday, April 17th, Tuesday, May 15th, and Monday, June 15th. I'm hoping to start these meetings at 4 p.m. Please remember that they may take as long as 2.5 hours each. Policy members, please let me know as soon as possible if these dates will work with your schedule. And that's so I can book those with Kevin Sutton.
Was it June 25th or June 15th?
It's actually June 25th.
Okay,
It's a Monday.
okay. I thought you said June 15th.
Oh,
That's why.
I'm sorry. It is June 15th, May 15th.
Okay.
June 25th.
Okay.
Tricky.
I sent the email. Did you get my
I did.
confirmation? Okay.
So I've heard from both you and Mr. Green, and I'm not positive if Ms. Mossop can make those 3 meetings or not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Pastor about the presented item? No? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve to hire Lusk Albertson Policy Services to help replace our current Neola policies.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion on the item? Dr. Pomponio?
I sat through the Neola Policy Committee to integrate Neola into our district, and that was a long process, and I know there's a lot of concern about us starting a new policy service, but as we sat through those policy meetings, going through each and every policy, there's a lot of policies, 2 full binders full, and the bylaws, so there's a lot of policies to go through. A lot of them are redundant. The main bulk of the new policies are going to be law-driven, so that's really what we need to drive the district, and we're already on the right track to more direction in our district, so I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Anyone else? No? Okay, I'm going to put my 2 cents in. I think this is a good thing. One of the issues I have with the Neola policies is the way we update them. We can only do it twice a year. It's expensive to do it, and I think this gives us some more flexibility with how we update our policies and maybe be more practical with we have a lot of policies we don't quite use because they don't fit us right now, but this will help streamline that and make us a little more efficient, so I think this is a good idea. Okay, I have a motion and we have support for it, so we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. And item 2, which is the overnight field trip request for JROTC.
So you're being asked to approve an overnight trip request for JROTC cadets to attend Fort Collins Air National Base in Alpena, Michigan for a 5-day camp. This is a trip that the Board of Education has supported in the past.
Any questions for Ms. Pastor?
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2018 overnight trip request for the JROTC to attend camp in Alpena, Michigan.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there support?
Support?
By Dr. Pomponio. Any discussion?
I think it's kind of cool. They, he was reading the request form, and these cadets get to participate in some leadership training over this 5-day summer camp, as well as doing some obvious training, and they get to take a ride in an Air Guard helicopter. So it sounds like a pretty fun trip. So I know it's not going to be easy. I know there's just a lot of physical demands and training involved, but I think that's a great trip for those cadets.
Okay.
And I believe that this 5-day camp is something that they come back and show us the presentation on all the different items that they do.
Right, right. Yeah, I know they look forward to it. Okay, any other discussion? No? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. And that takes us on to the 3rd item, which is the out-of-state field trip request for Anderson High School track and field.
So you're being asked to approve an overnight and out-of-state field trip request for Southgate Anderson Track and Field, and I do not know or remember if you've approved this in the past. This looks pretty new to me, but I don't know for sure.
I don't remember.
I don't recall this exact one. I know.
We've had
Yeah,
questions
I'm gonna
about the
say-
parent involvement in the overnights, if they're volunteers, or they're monitored and things like that.
So he has 30 students going and 20 adults. That's his estimated numbers.
I don't recall this one specifically, but I didn't see anything that gave me any concern. I know we've done similar ones for, like Color Guard and
Rowing, we used to do
yeah.
rowing and.
Yeah, I remember those. Any questions for Ms. Pastor?
Mr. President,
Mr. Green?
Ms. Pastor, parent volunteers will drive. What's the legality? Do we have permission slips? If something happens, are we covered with our insurance? Do we know that? That seems like an awful lot of people that are going to be driving with parent volunteers.
So that's typically the way that they do the out-of-state ones, and they do have forms that they fill out.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President,
Mr. Green.
I make a motion to approve the April 2018 overnight and out-of-state trip request for the Anderson Track and Field to attend Mansfield, Mihawk Relays in Mansfield, Ohio.
I have a motion. Is there support?
Support?
Supported by Dr. Pompano. Any discussion?
Good luck, have
No?
fun.
Good luck, all right. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion is passed. All right, do we have any employee representatives out in the audience who'd like to speak tonight? No?
Come on, Chives.
Quietly sitting. All right, and that takes us to information announcements from the board. Start with Dr. Pomponio.
Thank you. Just want to wish the 8th graders good luck or have fun tomorrow with their field trip to see the Diary of Anne Frank tomorrow. And that's all I have for my announcement.
Okay. Mr. Estheimer.
I have a lot of notes here, so get started here. So I've, as many of you know, March is Reading Month. Yesterday I had the absolute pleasure to read to 4 classes, 2 first-grade classes at Shelters and 2 second-grade classes at Ford Line. The students were friendly and fully engaged. Thanks go out to Principal Gundick of Shelters and Principal Ball of Ford Line, as well as the teachers whose classes I read to, Mrs. Babiak, Mrs. Robertson, Mrs. Clark, and Mrs. Mitchell. Some announcements at Shelters. First, for some upcoming events or past events. I did attend the math party. I saw the superintendent there as well on February 28th. My son Jake and I had a great time, and congratulations to the staff and PTO for such a great event and turnout. Tomorrow evening at 6:30 p.m., Shelters is once again having their Bingo for Books event. Due to limited seating, I believe this event is sold out, but if you're interested, I would still recommend that you call the school in the morning and double check with Ms. Carl over there. I'm glad that we registered early. My son is excited, and I'll report back on that at the next meeting. March 28th is their Reading Counts Assembly. Students are reminded to keep reading and earn those reading counts points. March 29th, Life Touch photographers will be at Shelters for the spring pictures. There's more information that will be sent home with the students later this month. And finally, the PTO Color Run, fun annual event that they're doing. That's going to be May 6th, so I'll speak about it again. But there's going to be a flyer coming home this week about registration. This year I'll be participating in a little bit different way. I'll be throwing paint on the participants as they cross the finish line. And the PTO has asked me to extend an offer to any other board members who wish to participate. If any of you are interested, just see me after the meeting and I'll put you in touch with the event organizers. Ford Line is in there, like I said yesterday, and I got some information to share. Ford Line celebrated Reading Month with a Fun Spirit Week. They did some Dr. Seuss inspired themes from like Wacky Hat Day to Green Day. The kids had a great time, and I believe they have some pictures on their Facebook page. Tomorrow, Ford Line will have Dennis in the building. Dennis RS will pick a random participant to receive a new tablet. And Ford Line wanted me to thank Mr. and Mrs. Secco, parents of a second grader and an incoming kindergartner, for taking over the Student of the Month program. These parents also fixed the fish tank in the main foyer and arranged a donation from Critters Pet Store in Allen Park, which donated some fish and fish tank equipment. Thanks to Critters for your support of Southgate Schools. Speaking of donations, Ms. Bartum, the PBIS interventionalist, is working together with Target's Taylor Store to coordinate book donations and guest speakers for Reading Month. So far this year, Target has donated many, many prizes for the PBIS program, as well as miscellaneous items for the school. So thanks go out to Target. Ford Line PTO raised over $500 at that Buffalo Wild Wings fundraiser I spoke about at the last meeting, thanks to all that came out. And they're having a similar fundraiser next Tuesday, the 20th. They're having Hungry Howie's night. Hungry Howie's in Southgate on Eureka is donating 20% of all sales, pickup or delivery, all day, lunch and dinner to Ford Line. Just mention Ford Line Elementary when ordering to ensure that they get proper credit. And finally, at Ford Line, there is a PTO meeting tomorrow at 6:30 in the Ford Line Library. Some general announcements. Reminder, there's 3 more half-days in March, this Thursday and Friday for elementary only. And correct me if I'm wrong on any of these announcements. And next Tuesday, the 20th, district-wide, school dismissal is at 11:30 a.m. Kindergarten registration packets are available at the elementary school offices. All applicants will be screened for kindergarten readiness. Once application is completed, please call office of your elementary school of choice to make appointment to complete registration. The School of Choice kindergarten registration is open till Thursday. That's this Thursday. So if you currently have a child already enrolled and they are of school age and their sibling is about to enter kindergarten, you must register your kindergarten here at the board office. Kindergarten roundup is Wednesday, March 21st, and doing it a little differently this year. It's all encompassed in one building. It'll be at Davidson Middle School. Again, that's March 21st at 6 p.m. And lastly, the City of Southgate. I attended their most recent council meeting last Wednesday the 7th. There were some general announcements, but basically the next council meeting is March 21st. There really wasn't much to report back. It was about a 3.5-minute council meeting. Lastly, my wife and Nicole and I attended the Red Carpet Gala I spoke to you about at the previous meeting. This was an event to benefit the Southgate community players and was hosted by Councilman Roush, who was our liaison for City Council, and he's usually at these meetings here, but he couldn't attend tonight. He wanted me to send his regrets. But he and former Councilman Roulette hosted the event. Guests got to walk the red carpet at the Southgate MGR and sample many local restaurants and see at least a portion. It was a school night of the Oscars on the big screen with free pop and popcorn and many food items that were donated by area residents. This event raised over $6,000 for the Southgate community players, so it was a huge success. And that is it. Thanks for listening. Have a great evening, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Green?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few announcements. I'd like to remind everyone the Junior ROTC banquet is at the end of this month. Also, I had the pleasure of attending Grogan's fair this past Saturday, where I saw our superintendent, who also attended. And congratulations to all the parents, the PTO members. A big thanks to Mr. Koopser, who donated some money, even though he's not a parent at Grogan Elementary. He is a parent, but not from a Grogan Elementary student, but donated money to their cause. It was a fun time by all, and the teachers and the parents and the PTO did a great job that night. I'd like to congratulate everybody in all the schools always for being Students of the Month. I especially like to throw out congratulations to a special little girl who was Student of the Month in her class, which is my daughter. I'm very proud of her for what she accomplished. Also, at the end of the month, as a lot of people have mentioned on this panel, that it is March is Reading Month, and that Grogan is also will be putting together a Reading Month with a superhero theme toward the end of this month. Thank you very much. Have a safe holiday on Saturday.
Thank you.
Mr. Green? Any other announcements? Okay. On to the work items. Number one is the curriculum adoption for 6 through 8 ELA for Davidson Middle School.
Okay, so my plan is to kind of give you just an overview of the process of the packet that you have in your folder, and then any questions that you might have, I will answer, or Beth Hinsman, who's the department chair at Davidson, is also here. Excuse me. So the curriculum review process began this fall, and the needs assessment revealed that the middle school curriculum textbooks were some of the oldest in the district. The last adoption was in 2002. So in the fall, Ms. Pastor actually had set up a vendor fair. So there were different vendors from the publishers that came and brought the materials. Then the English department did a textbook analysis review for each resource, and then based on that review, they narrowed it down to their top 2. So then from those top 2, they did sample some of the materials in different units and use them in their classroom just to sample that material, get familiar with the content. And then based on that information, the department recommended Study Sync for adoption. And Study Sync is the middle school component of the Wonders curriculum that we have in the elementary. And then the highlights on the very first page in your packet are kind of those that Beth wanted to highlight from the use of Study Sync. And then the quote that you have in there, it's a 6-year program for the electronic teacher and student licenses, teacher editions, and also there are consumable workbooks by each grade level. That's for a 6-year go out. And a bid is attached.
Go ahead.
With this adoption, with this textbook online and in print, what are the differences between what we have currently and what this offers? A lot? Everything?
Oh.
Can you address that?
Go right ahead.
Because of the configuration of our buildings before, 8th grade actually adopted a book in 2010 with the high school. It has a little bit of electronic, like they have an electronic textbook. It has been now 8 years, so some of the things are starting, like you can't access some of the stories that you used to when we adopted it 8 years ago. The 6th and 7th grade, they were, before we went into the budget debt, they were going to be the next people that adopted, and so we never adopted for 6th and 7th grade. So I can't remember the exact year.
It said 2002.
2002.
Wow.
So we haven't had a 6th and 7th grade literature update since 2002. So that has no electronic component whatsoever in that. What is really nice about this one is that there are a lot of electronic components to it. It has an app that you can use with it, that if you have a phone or a tablet, you can actually download when you're at school, and you don't need to have wireless at home, or you don't have to have internet at home. You can still work on it. And then when you come back to school, it automatically uploads. It also can be fully done without electronics. So everything there, the consumable workbooks, and there's a license to anything that comes electronically, you can actually print off. If there was something like we thought about, like during the M-STEP testing window, we don't have as much access to the electronics. So we need to do something else with that. So this one has, this is the whole deal, I think.
So pretty much when you go through like chapter by chapter, previous books, there might be a little component. So this one, you're saying everything is just, there's resources linked to everything, every
Could
chapter?
be fully online. If we had the ability to be fully online, it could be fully online.
Great. That sounds good. Thank you.
We also, we did, there is a lot of, or not a lot of, there is some, like one of the biggest units that we have at the middle school is Outsiders.
Oh, yeah.
And we have novels for the Outsiders. That is a component of this book series or this curriculum, but there's a lot more resources to go with it. I don't want to go too far ahead of your questions.
No, that's fine, because I know as a college instructor, we have the resources online, and I don't really need a textbook. And the students now are getting that access. And when I look through the site, like Cengage Brain, there's all kinds of resources, PowerPoints and everything else, so that's good.
And the textbooks that we have now, the ones that come from 2002 are pretty beat up. And even the 2010 ones are pretty beat up. And it's not that the kids abuse them or treat them differently, but the book is about this thick. They have to carry it to their locker and back every day, drop it in puddles on their way home. So this, we feel that they can get all the resources with it without buying a $75 textbook.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Stealing the thunder from my good friend, Mr. Coopser, since he's not here. I'm not sure if this would go to Ms. McLaughlin or Ms. Pastor, pertaining to the $85,000 for the cost, which seems to fit in line with the technology component Mr. Tashi was talking about. Is this, as it pertains to that cost for next school budget, coming out of the general fund or the millage fund? Which would we be?
It's coming out of the enhancement millage budget.
Enhancement millage fund. Thank you.
And because it's for 18-19, it'll be encumbered after July 1st.
So this is one cost that's good for 6 years?
That's correct. It
Okay.
includes the consumables for the 6 years.
Okay. Is that payment spread out over 6 years, Teresa, or is it paid at one time?
It's
Oh, they
paid
want
at
their
one
money
time.
up front.
Paid out at one time? No, well, I mean, I understand they want their money up front, but I guess I'm not sure how we budget for it, if it's,
Well, we have to
so we have to purchase
make
it
the
all up
whole
front.
purchase at the beginning, yes.
Okay, all right,
Just part of the 5-year plan and the curriculum.
right.
Is there any reoccurring costs after year 2, 3, 4 to keep the site licenses?
It
or
includes everything.
to purchase any new materials?
We
that they
gave
might-
them the roll-up numbers, approximately,
Mm-hmm.
and they're really flexible, but it's for 6 years, no other
Okay.
additional costs.
Mr. Estheimer?
Ms. Pastor, I'm not sure, I remember the Wonders program the portion of that money, a large portion came from a different fund, right?
All of Wonders was purchased with 31A money.
Yeah, so that's not eligible for this curriculum enhancement? Or is there a grant or anything like that?
So we allocated the 31A money differently this year.
Okay.
And we actually spent the Wonders money out of this year's
Budget?
budget for 31A. So we have a lot of salaries in 31A this year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Earlier, we got was Mr. Tashi was here, he said the technology upgrades. Is this going to be something we might have to look into? Will the systems that we have now support it?
Yes.
Any other questions?
And I added up the numbers, the number of books that we'd have to purchase would be a lot for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. It would just, or 6th and 7th, and they get beat up after time. So the online component sounds pretty appealing. And less wear and tear on their backpacks and carrying all that around, yeah.
Okay.
So it'll be on the approval agenda for the 27th.
We look forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2 is early middle colleges, opportunity for high school students.
Okay. So, same kind of idea. I tried to pull out like the big ideas from all of the information that you have in the packet, and then we can just go through some questions, Q&A. So what you have in here is basically everything that's required to submit to the MDE for approval for an early middle college. The only thing that isn't required to send to them is our financial plan, but we just wanted to provide our best outlook, what it would cost, or what the financial components would be, but that's not something that's required to go to the MDE. So this is a program that we look to offer to this year's freshmen to begin in their sophomore year next year. Interested freshmen would apply for the opportunity to be in the early middle college program, and they would be able to earn college credits up to and including an associate's degree. And one of the things with this, many of the early middle colleges that we've seen in the Downriver area have taken kind of a one path, one option. And so in working with the people at Wayne County Community College, they shared some other districts' idea to offer many offerings. So we kind of wanted to offer as much choice as possible to our students. So they don't have to choose right away. It could be, in a year or two as they're in the program, but they'd be able to choose from an Associates of General Studies, an Associates of Arts, an Associates of Science, or there's also 2 CTE routes that we have created for EMT firefighter or an automotive service technology option. And once again, our partner would be Wayne County Community College District. Anthony Arminiak is the college campus president, and then Lena Wara is the college advisor that we've met. We've met on several different occasions. The courses that we will be offering, at least through the second semester of their, through the first semester of their senior year, would be offered on campus at Anderson High School. There might be a science class that has a lab that they would have to travel to Wayne County Community College District, but at least for 10th, 11th, and the first semester of 12th grade, the classes would be offered right on the campus at the high school. When we went to the conference in February, and we actually went last February and this February, but the promotion of early middle college by the MDE is really to support a college-going culture. It's really to, get kids in that mindset. Provide opportunities for underserved students. That's another target population for early middle colleges. To boost college attendance rates and also reduce the financial burden for families. One of the things that when we met with the campus president said, that families should really think about this in a way of a scholarship for a degree, a 2-year scholarship. Our target population would be for students that, would be interested in starting off at a community college. Of course, that would be a great fit for them. But maybe students that don't have the GPA to get right in at a 4-year college, so they could take an alternate path by starting at a community college. This would be another great fit for them. Students who are obviously academically ready. They also have to be willing to commit to 5 years. They won't actually be done completely with high school until that 13th year of the 5th year of high school or the 13th year. But also it's targeting first-generation college students. So we would be looking for a cohort of 25 students. That's the recommendation to start for a first year, obviously, for those students for their sophomore year. The 3 critical factors of success that they have really impressed upon us is attendance. Attendance is like the #1. Kids obviously have to be there. No behavior discipline issues, and to have experienced some academic success in the high school classes they've had in 9th grade. So our thought process is that, we would want to share this with all 9th graders, open it up to all of them, and then any student who might be interested, they could begin the application process, and then hold a parent meeting for parents to say, hey, do you need additional information? What questions do you have? And then review the applicants. And then there would be a joint meeting between the district and Wayne County Community College to have that meeting with parents and students to kind of give them the information that they would need, for the program. And then they informed us that there's a 3-hour parent-student orientation in August for those students that would be accepted to the program at the college on the campus. Just on the financial plan, Teresa definitely helped me out greatly with that, with her expertise. It was just a little tricky for us because it was hard to say, of the 25 or however many that we would have for the first cohort, would they all take this path that has this cost associated with it? So it was hard to determine exactly what it might look like, but that financial plan is kind of our best guess. The college is willing to, they waive the application fee for students and the technology fees. So then the district would be responsible for the tuition for the college, courses, lab fees, books, and then families would be responsible for transportation to and from the college whenever that takes place, and then also any supplies for the class, like notebooks, blue books, Scantrons, lab coats. And again, I kind of just wanted to say again, I had not described it to me in that way before until the last time we met with Jill, was that if we need to kind of share that it's really a scholarship for a 2-year degree. So I like that message.
And he also talked about, too, that if at the end of the 2 years they don't have a degree, but they have the credit
Just
hours.
however many, right.
Then that's a benefit, too, for them.
I have a question. So this isn't, it's all in or all out kind of thing, right? Like, you can't have a student who says, I'm good at math, I want to take my math class there and be dual enrolled just for my math class, or just for my English class. Could you do that, or do you have to either be in the program or out of the program?
This is a program, and then a student who might just be dual enrolled for a certain course, that's still an option to them.
Okay.
So, I could still take an online class in a 21F situation. That's still an option for kids. This is just another option, another program that a student could elect to be eligible for.
So somebody who's going into 11th grade next year could say,
They
I
can
want
still
to,
dual enroll.
I want to dual enroll for this class and this class.
Yep.
To try and
They
earn
could still
college
do that.
credit while they're, and the high school credit. Okay,
That's always an option for them.
yeah, okay.
I have a couple questions. Now, from the looks of this, it says that they have to pass the PSAT, so,
There's a recommended score.
Okay.
None of the criteria that's in the application are like, it's it or nothing.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's all kind of looking at the whole picture of the student.
Okay.
But they said the primary ones were attendance, discipline, and achievement in the classes that they've had in the high school so far.
the other question I had was, so this goes into the 13th year for the student. So now, can they graduate with their class and come back for the last year?
There's two schools of thought. We've heard some groups say that, you know, because technically you don't get your diploma until that 13th year, that they don't have them participate. But then there's other schools that said that's their group of kids that they've went to school with all their, you know, whole career.
Yeah.
And so that's at least where our head was. When we met with the high school folks, we would have the students graduate, as long as, you know, all things are in place and they're on track with the program, which by that time, I can't imagine them not being on track, you know, their 12th grade year. But they would still walk and graduate, not graduate, walk, participate in the ceremony with their cohort of kids, but they would not truly get their diploma until the 13th year.
But at the 12th year, wouldn't they have the credits for the senior year
They
potentially?
wouldn't.
No?
Because there's one, for you to be at early middle college, you have to withhold one credit for that 13th year, which is their senior year math credit, their last credit of math, that 13th year. So no
Okay.
matter what, they still technically would not have their diploma until that 13th year.
And then, is there an online course that they can take? Can they take it online with our Atlas program, or would that be part of that?
This would not be online.
Okay.
This is face-to-face.
Although, I mean, I suppose there could be components that Wayne County might have online, but it wouldn't have anything to do with Odysseyware.
Okay, thank you.
So just to let you know, the MOU is a draft right now that's being reviewed by the law firm. So Martha's had that since March 6th. So we're waiting to hear back if there's any suggested changes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Frias.
I have a couple questions. One is the number 25, is that a hard and fast number, or is if we get a large demand, can we expand that? And how much would that cost if that happened?
They sounded really flexible when they were
Okay.
talking about numbers. 25 is a nice number, but they said it could be a little bit lower, it could be a little bit higher. Obviously, if we got to 50, it might be two sections, two cohorts. We'd
Okay.
have to consider, you know, what that would look like. But
Okay.
they definitely sounded like they'd be very willing to work with us, whatever our numbers would be.
And then what about AP courses then? Would there be less demand then for taking this? Obviously, some of these children are going to be advanced, so would they want to take the AP classes? And if they took it, could they get college credit and less than, would it count towards the 60 credit hours?
There's actually, what their recommendation is to target the student that would be a part of an early middle college might not necessarily be that AP student. I mean, there could be, but because of when these classes are offered, AP classes, meaning there might be only one, it would possibly conflict with the schedule with the college. So oftentimes AP students are planning on going straight to a
Four-year.
four-year college. So this probably isn't, having to wait that 13th year before they start that four-year college wouldn't be for all students. So, I mean, you have to really know what your plan is for down the road to decide, is this really for me? Because some kids that, you know, they talk a lot about, they might have an athletic scholarship. This wouldn't be for you. If you think you might have an athletic scholarship, you can't wait for that 13th year. So there's a lot of fits models that you would have to really consider for the student that, you know, this would work for.
Okay, so it's not really for the top tier students.
It's not. It's,
For a junior college-based student.
it really is, you know, they're
Kind
talking
of learn
about.
and then
the-
move on, and the scholarship aspect to save a lot of money and have your associates. And an extra year, too.
And
Because if
no
you
ma-
transferred 60 credits in, you need 120 for a four-year university in most places.
Yeah.
You only need 60 more, so 2 more years.
Right.
You can actually have a college degree in 3 as opposed to 4.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that
Alright.
again will be on the approval agenda for the 27th.
Very good.
Great.
Thank you. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for